Everyone, Nate Benarski here, talking about identifying crab spiders on iNaturalist again today. Today, I have gone ahead and taken out some of the more common species from the Needs ID. So focusing hopefully on some more uncommon and interesting species. Well, first of all, this is a Zysticus, and identified that to genus, but not really beyond that. Another one. And you can tell them from similar genera by dark brownish, earthy tones, carapace with a light median patch and darker lateral patches. And then there are a few other genera, especially in Europe, that kind of look similar, but for the most part, it's Zysticus if it has those characteristics. Um, Another that is a Philodromus. It's not even in the same family. Um, Running crab spiders. You can tell them apart because so let's see if I can get a good picture showing this. The back legs are about the same length as the front leg, and the second leg is longer. It's the longest pair. Um, that's how you can identify philodromids. That is some sort of Runcinia, and you can tell that by a flat, long body and what looks like an elevated ocular region here with a lot of orbicals. This is Phrenorachne salonica, a very neat spider. This is a beautiful photo of it, but you can identify it based on the fact that it looks like a bird dropping. It's got the femora and tibia light colored, and the uh, tarsal segments are dark colored with these long spines. There are a couple other ways to tell apart from similar Phrenorachne species. These legs will vary between white and yellow. This is kind of an intermediate. But these look like pieces of bark. They've been suggested by some to be their own family. They can be identified by the shape of their carapace, these seedy, and they're kind of blunt tipped. They often will like have little pieces of moss growing on them, or have moss colors on them. So you got some moss color there. That could be some moss that's actually growing on them, or it could just be part of the integument of the spider. Oxytate, identifying these two species is really difficult. I typically just leave them be. Most of these IDs are probably wrong because there are a bunch of oxytate species in this area. MSCIA, yeah, there are multiple MSCIA species that can't be distinguished without dissection. But everyone calls them Forticeps because that's the one that's the most commonly studied. Um, the other species recorded from the literature is from Vietnam, so it probably occurs over here as well, but hard to know for sure. That is a Macaphysa. It's in the New World, it is light colored and it is hairy. Now there's a Sticus, Oxytate, another Vibora pactus. This is a male, so it's smaller, it's got these swollen pedipalps, and it's got less modifications on the body. Another Sticus, and another Macaphysa. It's selected. There we go. Um, there's another one. This one actually has pollen on it, so I'm going to annotate that. I'm trying to keep track of that, um, just because I think that it's cool to know what species are, routinely covered in pollen. And because of my efforts, this observation field was meant for things like bees, but there are a lot of spiders in this now, which I think is cool. There's another Macaphysa. These are often confused with Misceminavadia, but they've got ears on them. Macaphysa. Okay, so this is identified as subfamily Dietinae, but that subfamily does not occur in the United States. It's auticid based on the large forward-facing eyes there, and this is Lysomanes viridis, the only spider in the US that looks like this. I'm gonna try to take out this incorrect ID as well. I'm gonna say this is Loxodate, but that is a Misumessus oblongus. Which funnily enough, there was a study in India, that they published. There's so many studies in India, but no idea how they actually get it past peer review. I get the feeling that they don't peer review it at all. Um, but they reported Misumessus oblongus as new to India. Misumessus oblongus is endemic to the United States. In the photo that they had as evidence of Misumessus oblongus was a photo of it was either an oxytate or a loxobates or a ditopsa. One of those is kind of too blurry to tell, but they're similar in the body color, but it's enough to confuse even uh, maybe so-called researchers is the best way to put it, because they're not critical of their own findings or um, I digress. That is Mechanismus Cellar. Uh, you can tell partly by the range. Oklahoma is like the most common Mecapessa there. This is a male because it's got these swollen pedipalps, and then this pattern of four dots here is typical of this Mecapessa cellar. You'll sometimes find it in other species like Mecapessa dubia in males, but and especially Mecapessa lepida out west. Always looks like that. Um, I think that is a Mecapessa, and given the range, probably Aspirata, but not sure. That is one of the Lettenlegias, also now currently in Theralia, but should hopefully be moved back to the right genus soon. Another Brbora pactus. These guys are lovely. This is an adult female with her egg sac. So I'm going to annotate that so researchers can find that more easily. Another Brbora pactus. These are very uncommon to find, so it's surprising to see this many of them next to each other. That should just because of the filters I've put in place in this identifying session. Um, Miss Minavadia, uh, Epicotis. I can't identify these beyond genus. Beautiful, beautiful genus. That is Missiminops inners. Tell by hairiness and the black dot on the distal tibia. This is a Mecapessa. It's just in the wrong genus right now. It needs to be moved over. Um, You'll be surprised how many things like that there are. That is Mecapessa aspirata mating. There's the female, there's the male. So I'll add that annotation. That is some sort of Mecapessa, or maybe Missiminops mexicanus, which I also think is a Mecapessa in the wrong place. Um, That is Isala Cambridgei. It's an Isala based on um, the location and the characteristics of the body. So you have this kind of pear-shaped carapace, this roly-poly like abdomen with like segments and spines on the side, and then Cambridgei because of the two long dark stripes in the center of the carapace. These white CT here, and also they have large palps. The one that looks most similar to it is spiralis. In the literature, it says that the way that you tell them apart is spiralis is darker, kind of grayer rather than reddish, and also doesn't have white hairs here. But I think that they might have just been dealing with a specimen that had the white hairs rubbed off because I've seen specimens that match the description of spiralis in every detail except for those hairs. Um, is a Zysticus. That is another Thoralia or Letlegia. That's got to be Philodromus dispar, but it's so young. I'm just going to leave the genus. Um, that is another Isala cambridgei. It is a very variable species. This is a female. Um, that is Stephanopus. Um, it could be what is it? Is it carcinoides? Yeah, I'm gonna just copy that. It's- Could be carcinoids. It's hard to judge how wide the carapace is, though. Um, that's another Megapessa. Not mean to think that sometimes the shortcuts can get you. Um, that's Ephemesis. It's in Africa. It has abdominal tubercles and lateral ocular tubercles. Uh, that's and Gaius. This is a in the Stephanopani. People suggested making it his um, own family, but this kind of pentagonal abdomen, this dark kind of curly bracket marking there, and the eye arrangement is also unique, but you can't really see it from this angle. But that's enough to idea to genus. Identifying it beyond that is difficult. That's a missemesis. Based on range, perhaps Quintori, but hard to tell. That is a Macapessa. That is a male Alcimophes. I never really remember how to. Well, I've never heard someone um, pronounce it. But, interesting genus, very poorly studied, very species rich. Only a few species described. Macapessa, another Macapessa, and another one. Very common, commonly observed on a naturalist because they're like the most common um, and one of the most common cow spiders in California. A lot of people in California post on naturalist. Now, this philodramid is missing its middle pair of legs. It looks like. I mean, it's second pair of legs, but you can tell it's not a crab spider because the three remaining legs that it has on each side are all about the same length. Crab spiders' back legs would be about as long as just the femora on this spider. No, uh, that's, yeah, that is it's a Trotus. That is Miscellinaria. It's a juvenile, like Lepessa, maybe like Lepida, hard to tell. Mistomissus oblongus males look like this. Stickus. That is Mecapessa, probably dubia, but hard to tell. Uh, Synema parvulum, got that black diaper. Um, another Mecapessa, probably Zeller. Um, that, yeah, that's a Mecapessa, or it's Misumenops gracilis, which is also a Mecapessa, so I'm just going to leave it there. And the reason why I'm thinking gracilis is because of that kind of oval shaped marking on the back of the abdomen. Although that's variable, this is a juvenile. Probably never know for sure what it is. That is some sort of Coriagnini. That was one page out of a whole lot more pages. Um, so that is not a solid Cambridgei. That is a Stephanopus. Um, one way to tell is this kind of bifid projection in the ocular region. Also tell by the abdomen, just doesn't look like I saw a Cambridgei. Um, yeah, another Stephanopus. Can't identify these two species reliably, but I let people pretend they can because what's the what's the big deal? Um, I think that's one of the Florida species. I guess it could be Pygnaxis too. It's kind of hard to tell. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not sure from that photo. Who is that? What is that? Oh, it's one of the Hawaiian philodromids. They're really weird. Uh, for some reason, I thought that this was in like the Pacific Islands. I mean, the southeast. I thought that this was somewhere over here, and I was freaking out because there are some things in the literature that look similar to this that haven't been photographed before. But this is Hawaii. Um, Philodromids are quite strange. Um, another Angias. That is some sort of Iranian. You can tell, got this eye arrangement. Um, this is not a typical Themistid eye arrangement. Um, the front pairs of legs are longer than the back pairs of legs, but the third leg is probably shorter than the fourth leg. See if I can get into the picture. The abdomen is just shaped like an old weaver. Yeah, this gives a better idea of the eye arrangement. If this was a crab spider, you'd expect an eye here and an eye here, but you don't get that. You have these four eyes here and then two clusters of eyes on either side. That's typical orb weaver. Miss Vadia. Ooh, this is um, uh, Ebristella. What is it? Ornatissima. It is not an Ebristella. Ebristella. So just to give you an idea of how ridiculous, for some reason, some of these authors are behaving. I don't understand it. They think that this right here is congeneric with this. Um, they differ in like the shape of the ocular region. This has kind of a Runcinia-like ocular region versus the ocular region here. There's no lateral projections. This is dark colored and hairy. Um, this is light colored and not very hairy. The integument on the carapace is textured differently. This got lateral abdominal tubercles. Any one of these characteristics, in and on their own, is conservative enough to typically be an indicator of this deserves a separate genus. But for whatever reason, they put it in Eberstella. There's even a researcher who this is just ridiculous to me. Let me see if I can pull it up. Uh, so you go to World Spider Catalog. Uh, there we go. Um, and log in, search genus Rictella, um, and genus catalog. And where's the one that's from? Is it like Portugal? Yeah. Um, Patello maculata. So Wonderlick, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. That he is a prolific and pretty good author, but he made just a crazy blunder um, that seems to be becoming all too common, or at least throughout history, people always make mistakes, but it seems like a number of modern authors are just dropping the ball on Themisidae because they don't understand how it works. Yeah, so this guy right here, 6, he says is an Ebrichtella species. He's not 100% sure on the genus, but he described it as a species new to science in the genus Ebrichtella. So he said that this thing right here with these lateral ocular tubercles and this brownish body color is the same thing, is same genus as this. And what he didn't realize, let me see if I can find where he actually describes the palp and such on this. Um, what page was that? Let me just search. Tell yeah, so yeah, so he described with the lateral ocular tubercles, um, uh, and let's see where he discusses it. Um, uh, uh, so yeah, he used Latina in 2004 for some reason to reach Eberstella. And the characteristics he looked at, the color of the prosoma, ventral pedipalp, tibia, apophysis, and the slender cymbium. He said the embulse is different. Um, he describes the differences. A prosoma carina and the species of Eberstella is unknown to me. Therefore, I regard Patella maculata as a questionable member of this genus. So good on him for recognizing that. It's questionable. The funny thing is, to me, like if he had just put this photo through iNaturalist, he would have pulled up. This is Runcinia grammatica. It is one of the most common species in this area. Let me just pull up Runcinia. Uh, uh, I can't spell. Um, but it's this guy. Let me see if I can pull if I have any photos of the males in this. Let me see if I can change that. Just pull up a male. It's a good fit. Um, I'll put that there so it's easier to tell what the males look like. Um, yeah, but yeah, that's the male. So you have the carina and the lateral ocular projections. You have the same everything between this and this. Um, it's common in Portugal. It's like one of the most common crab spiders in Portugal. Um, and in 2023, we have a prominent scientist identifying it as a totally different genus. Um, and let me see if I can pull up. If I pull up Runcinia germanica, I can show you what this palp looks like. Let's do that because I'm not 100% sure how to spell it. I had two M's. Let me see if I can pull up one of the more recent ones that actually has the a good photo of it. I think that this one has a good photo. Um, how? Let's see. Um, yeah, it's not a good photo of Cal, but these are hard to get good photos. Let me try another for you. Let's try this one. Yeah, this one's a good. It's talking about the genus Urarachne in South America, but when doing some like phylogenetic stuff, it gets some. They have some very good photos of Runcinia, like Gramic. How do you say that? Runcinia gramica. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. So there's the female gramica. Here's the male. Um, So you can see this is the pout, and then compare that to Wonderlip. You see, so he drew. You got this RTA with this little kind of curled projection at the base. And so what do we have here? RTA, little curled projection at the base. Um, uh, yeah, from the side. This is the same palp. When bolus originates at the same point. Um, yeah, and the variations that you see here in terms of like that looks straighter and this looks like it's got like a little flap there. Um, that's a combination of variation in what details the author considers important in his drawing, and also what angle he drew it at, and also individual variation within species. Runcinia in particular, it's the male palp seems to almost be more variable within species and between species. You have to look at the male palp and the female epigene, and you have to look at the habitus of both the male and female to really get a confident ID. It's difficult to just go off the male palp. Um, yeah, anyway, I'll be honest, this genus has confused a lot of people in the past. Another example I'll give, let me see if I can just find this way. Runcinia grammatica um, in in South Africa. Uh, it's to me, it's honestly questionable whether this species even occurs here. Um, Let me see. So like this is research grade Runcinia grammatica, identified by Dr. Dipanaw Sherman, the leading expert in this field, as well as Razor Spider. I can't remember what their name is, but they're good too. Um, uh, so they identify this as uh, Grammatica, uh, Grammica, can't speak, based on the longer retrolateral tibial hypothesis. The problem, like, compare this, which is, I'm pretty sure this is like the type specimen. Yeah, this is collected by Simon. We know what this is. This is Runcinia grammica, and this and this are not the same palp. Look, the shape uh, of the embolus originates at a different point. The RTA is different. Um, let's see. Yeah, that's different from this. The color of the palp is different, the size of the palp is different, the shape of the symbium is totally different. There's no point of correspondence in these palps, and both of them are Runcinia. And yet you have, I would say probably at least three of the best identifiers in this region are wrong, utterly wrong about this. Um, uh, Let me see if I can. So yeah, this is probably Ethiops or Tropica based on what's in the literature. Let me see. I think that, let me see which one is, I think it's this one right here. It has the good pictures of the palette. Let me pull Runcinia. Yeah. Um, so you can see Ethiops. There's a drawing of the palette. Um, that's a pretty decent match. So you have that on one hand, and on the other hand, you have this. You see the embolus originates from the same spot. The RTA is about the same length. Um, the embolus reaches to about the same point. This is the embolus. That's the tip of it. That's the base of it. Um, the like every little detail almost looks the same. There's some differences there and there. So maybe this isn't the same species, but it's a better guess than saying that that and that are the same. Um, let's see. There's some other ones. It's probably not Depressa. You can see that the RTA looks totally different. Um, or Erythina, that one's a very distinctive species. Or Flavida, also another very distinctive flat, long species. Um, there's Kramica, like say that's the drawing that Dr. Dipperin Showman is using, Dippenar Showman is using to identify this as this. That's not the same thing. Um, Insecta, this is another complicated case. Insecta is not the proper name for this. Insecta is a junior synonym of Acuminata, which is an Australian genus. Um, this is something similar to Aphanis or Albostriatus, um, which is a widespread African and Asian species. But there's so many problems in the genus Runcinia, just because like the reason why Runcinia uh, insecta became the name for, which was an endemic Australian species, became the name for Runcinia affinis and all these other different synonyms across Africa and Asia, is because this researcher in Australia uh, made a determination based on just the male palp. And the male palps do of Runcinia insecta do look like this, but the body of the female is totally different. The female Runcinia insecta slash Runcinia acuminata um, uh, Humanata. They look like this. So that's the male, and true insecta slash acuminata. That's the female. Long um, abdomen with a pointed kind of caudal tip at the end. Um, it is endemic to Australia. Unfortunately, another researcher named Ona from Japan thought that acuminata was widespread throughout Asia. So a lot of these are identified as acuminata sensu Ona, but they're not acuminata sensu, the type species. Um, anyway, this whole genus is a total mess. I understand why people make mistakes here. Let me see, which one of these do I think it actually is? It's not Johnstonii. I think that Tropica is not a bad guess um, for this. Not it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you can kind of see Embolus originates from about the same point. The uh, RTA is it's a little bit. Excuse me, where was it? Um, it accidentally closed out of it. Yeah. So RTA is similar. It's not a perfect match, but you can kind of see you have this kind of wavy, broad, laterally RTA and this hook there. Um, it's a whole lot of a better match than saying that this is and then also the habitus of this is, is pretty similar. And from what I recall, part of why, yes, so the patterns on the abdomen are part of why Dr. Dipnar Sherman is saying that this is Krimica. Um, anyway, I spent too much time on this. Moving on. So this is not actually an Ebertstella. That's the point of this. I think this is close to the original concept of Masuria, which now has expanded. I think the original Masuria was in the Misumini, but now what everyone's calling Masuria, they're Diini. Um, yeah, the type Masuria angulata, I don't think has ever really been fully redescribed. I know Latinen looked at it, but yeah, total mess in this region. Um, yes, this is the Mechaphisa and could be the northern crab spider, Mechaphisa aspirata. Uh, Another Mechaphisa citratus. That could be Rubra punctatus. It's hard to tell for sure. I'll just leave that alone though. If I could see a better view of the pelt, I could know better. Um, Mechaphisa. That's another Angias. And this is what they look like when they're wet. They actually, when they're wettened, they change color to some degree. And I think it might be to help them blend in with bark when it gets wet. So they're dry and dry bark is different from wet bark. So dry spider looks different from wet spider. I do that. I've got no idea what that is. I'm just going to push it back to Inveror because that's not this. That is Strigopus, and there's probably that species based on the location. Um, yeah, I'm gonna put that in the tribe. That's a Stickus. Actually, only commented instead of leaving an ID. That is some sort of Coracnini. It may or may not be Stickus. What's that? Okay, Eberstella. Tricuspidata. That's a male. Yeah, there's swollen pedipalps there. Um, this is the European spider that has like a black diaper and it's kind of greenish. Ooh, that is actually crazy. Therididae. Which genus is that? I can't remember. But you see, third leg shorter than the last leg. It thinks that that's part of probably why it's having trouble identifying it is because iNaturalist thinks that what is being asked for is the flower. I think it's Epicynus. Yes, Epicynus ammonis, which is not common in this area. That's definitely what it is. Um, should be this one. Uh, third leg shorter than, so it's not. Is it I? Um, there's another Mechaphisa. That's a male. Hmm. That's an SMSs. Yeah, even so, young Messimesis, they will have some seeding, so they can be easy to confuse with young Mechaphesa, but young Mechaphesa will have a lot more and a lot longer seed. And in this area, it's probably oblongus, could potentially be lap, which is a species named after an iNaturalist user, which is cool. Joe Lap. Another Mechaphesa. Yeah, this is Thomisops. That's Mechaphesa aspirata. The Sumina vadia. Strigopilus, this is probably um, this species that I can't pronounce. Oh, that's some sort of Coiracnini, but no idea which one. That's an interesting one. All right. With that, I'll wrap it up for today. Thanks for listening. I appreciate your tuning in and learning how to identify crab spiders. I definitely need help identifying crab spiders because when we go just to identify crab spiders across the world, we have I guess that's a cool one. I'll just go ahead and identify in India. We have this many pages, 5,513 pages of 30 each. So if we go here, we have 165,000 observations that I have left to review. And when we consider things that needs ID that I've contributed to, but still needs more input, um, we're looking at what, 9,972. So if we come here and see, so almost 300,000 observations that still can be improved. Um, and a lot of these I have weighed in what I can to the best of my knowledge, and we're waiting on people with more knowledge to come in and add more information. I'm going to go ahead and identify this last one because I love this species, Australomyzia kangaroo blaski. Spell it. Uh, I don't know why they decide to name things so long sometimes. Um, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to the next session.